On today's show, I'm letting you in on a journey I've been on for the past 3 months that has changed my life. For years, I struggled with my health, being insulin dependent, high cholesterol, you name it. But one guest on my show last year literally changed my life. My journey, my coach, ONeil Anderson, is back, and you don't want to miss this important conversation. Coming up next on the PowerPLAY Show.
From the studios at Hulbay Productions, this is Season 3 of the PowerPLAY Show. Now, here's Tonya McGrath.
Welcome to the PowerPLAY Show. I'm Tonya McGrath. On today's show, I'm sort of turning the tables on myself. For the past 3 months, I've been on a journey to heal some things in my life physically. And when I thought about it more, mentally as well. When I started this journey, I weighed 198 pounds. My type 2 diabetes resulted in my being on 2 insulin-dependent drugs. My A1C was 8.4. That's very high. I was also on other medications for cholesterol, for instance. My LDL, also known as the bad cholesterol, was 156.4. And I was on 2 high blood pressure medications. Needless to say, my body was depending on drugs to keep me healthy. Then I introduced you to ONeil Anderson back in September. There was something about this interview that really stuck with me. Perhaps it was the very sensible ingredients ONeil explained to get you healthy. So after the interview, I called him. In November, just a month and a half after my beginning working with ONeil, my A1C was at 6.1. My LDL bad cholesterol was 87. Today, I'm no longer on insulin for my diabetes. You heard me correctly. I am off insulin. I'm off my cholesterol medication, and I'm off my high blood pressure medication. And drum roll, I'm 172 pounds, down 26 pounds, and I'm feeling the best I have in decades. So today, I'm reintroducing you to the man who helped me change my life and my health. ONeil Anderson, welcome back to the PowerPLAY Show.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have to say is thank you.
Well, we're going to do this a little bit different today because we're going to kind of have more of a discussion on how you helped me, what worked, what didn't work, some of my challenges, and maybe you can just kind of like continue to just pour into the audience about just taking control back in your life, which I have done, and just feeling amazing. So thank you so much for doing this. You know, one of the things when I first talked to you back in September, you really kind of honed in on the fact that it's really about taking charge of your life. It's not about weight loss quick schemes or, get this fast or lose this fast. So talk a little bit more about that, about just how it is you help to mentor people getting control back of their lives.
Absolutely. So I think, to answer that question, I think we have to first understand, what are we exposed to most of the time? And in today's society, it is, quick fixes. Everything like, oh, we need it now. And that same sentiment is translated into our healthcare system. So you go into the doctor and you say, oh, doc, I have a headache. And the doctor says, oh, hey, take this. 10 minutes later, your headache's gone. But what we don't realize is that there are reasons why you have a headache. There are steps that you can likely take to reduce a headache. Like you might not have gotten enough sleep. You're probably a little dehydrated. Maybe there's some nutrient deficiencies. And those things actually take, your headache won't go away in 10 minutes, but your headache will go away in a day or two. And then guess what? You're going to feel a lot better because you're actually taking care of your system. So it's the sort of, the pill for every ill, the get rich quick, the lose 30 in 10 days. This is sort of, and honestly, brainwashing society to say, you know what, if there's something that I need to do when it comes to my health or when it comes to finances, it should be fast. When that's not true, right? Let's take a look at, an apple tree, for example. you don't plant the seed and then, tomorrow there are a bunch of apples on it that you can eat. No, you have to water it. And then over time, it starts to sprout. And then you get this sort of, this fruitful tree bearing these fruits. So it's the same sort of approach that I take with my clients. I never want you to come in and me tell you that, hey, in 2 weeks, all is going to be well. Every one of your goals, you're going to hit those in 2 weeks. Because that's not the way the human body works. And we need to be able to, over time, which you've done so beautifully, over time, change small habits. And then when you wake up in 30 days or 60 days and you've changed these small habits and you've become a better version, a better you from a health and nutritional standpoint, where then when you look back, you're like, oh, wow, you didn't really, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have to do this for, 2 weeks and then I'm going to get these bigger results. It was, we're taking these steps to make sure that long term, that you're good for forever.
And that's so important because, going into it, your mindset, because we're so inundated with this instant gratification, right? You do this and this happens right away. And so going into it, I really kind of felt like, all right, I'm going to give this a try. Let me see. And in all honesty, those first couple of weeks, there really wasn't a lot of change. There really wasn't. What I was changing was my behavior and how I was kind of creating this new dynamic in my brain to say, what I'm going to put into my body is going to be healthy, it's going to be pure, and it's going to be good for me. Those were the things so for me, it was really a mental change first, and the physical attributes came later.
Yeah. Absolutely. So these things, and this just jumped into my mind, not to get on any sort of, biblical or anything, but, these sayings that are, sort of etched in history and like human history, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, he eats forever. I don't really know the terms, so don't quote me on it, but this is, these sort of philosophies apply to life, right? So I could, and I tell, and anyone who I start to work with, and I tell you, hey, yeah, I can tell you to, eat these veggies or eat those, but that's not me really helping you change these small behaviors over time, where it is what you want to do and what you enjoy doing. And you then building up these small little habits based on changing sort of your mindset on what you think about how you're going to actually, get healthy or improve your health. And it's teaching you how to shift the mindset first. And then, like you said, the physical attributes will come. Like we can, in all honesty, I can tell you to do something for a week, something that's very unhealthy, and you'll lose 10 pounds. But am I actually helping you? No. And that's not how, and I have these conversations with anyone that I work with, and whoever, is willing to say, you know what, let me go on this journey. This is where we see the biggest impact. And again, unfortunately, we're sort of in this instant gratification stage where some people are like, well, if I'm not going to lose 30 pounds in 2 weeks, or if I'm not gonna get off of insulin, next week, then I don't really want to go on this journey.
I said in my intro that, it changed my life physically, but more importantly, it was the mental change for me. And it was really making very positive choices about how much I was going to move each week, how I was going to eat each day, what types of things I was going to be around so that I wouldn't have those kind of urges. So talk about how, you help your clients make that mental shift in this whole process, because as I mentioned, the physical stuff is going to come, but it all starts up here.
Yeah. So the big thing is education, is letting you know why, so that you can weigh the options. And 9 times out of 10, you're always going to pick the option that is in your best interest. So giving you the information, as opposed to say, hey, do this and don't do that, it is, okay, here's what I'm suggesting that we do, and here's why, so that you understand. So it's the same, if you're, these are such sort of elementary concepts, right? How do we learn something? You see it, okay, then someone can say it to you, then you can then read it. And when you're hitting on all these different sort of learning points, that's when it starts to stick. So I make sure that whatever information that I'm telling you, that I'm giving to my clients, I also provide you with an explanation or reasoning on behind why is that important for you to know. Because again, it's about teaching you, so that once you are actually you're active in this process. And that's a big thing. You're active in this process. You're not. It's not me just spitting a bunch of information at you and saying, hey, go and do. You're active in this. You have to be able to. You have to be willing to say, you know what, I'm actually gonna read why he's asking me to do this. He provided it for me, but I'm actually gonna take the time and say, oh, this is why. Because then it's gonna stick with you. It's gonna make more sense to you. You're gonna understand it, right? So if you don't understand something, if I don't understand it, I'm not really gonna be interested in it. Like, I don't really understand that. Let's keep it moving. But if you understand it, and this is a sort of cornerstone, again, you've gone through this process with me, it's a cornerstone of what I do. I give you in sort of bite size, no pun intended, bite size pieces, so that you can understand why we're doing something and why something may not be the best for your body. And then you ultimately, that helps to sort of just give you a nice little nudge in the right direction. And then your body starts telling you, this is the right direction. Or your body's gonna say, hey, this is not the right direction. And we're gonna say, all right, hey, maybe this isn't the right direction for you. And then we work together to make sure that what we're doing is working for you. But that big thing is gonna be giving you that information.
When you and I first started our journey together, one of the questions that you asked me initially was, what are my goals? And everyone is going to say weight loss, but I also told you I wanted to get off of some of these medications. Yeah. And as I mentioned, I was on 2 different insulins. One was a daily insulin, one was a weekly insulin. I was on cholesterol medication. I was on 2 high blood pressure medications. And for me, when I went to get my blood work that I do every 3 months in November, and I saw those numbers change, I was crying. I remember calling you and I was in tears. I could not believe how these very little adjustments in what I was choosing to put into my body had such a significant impact on my health. Yeah. So, and I'm sure when people first come to you and you say, what are your goals? They're always going to say weight loss, but it's so much more than that. I just want you to talk a little bit about that, because it's really, how do you get yourself, and I think you call them lifestyle medications. So talk a little bit about that and why that is such an important part to this, aside from the losing weight. Absolutely. So if you go to your physician and you say, hey, are these lifestyle medications? They're going to say, absolutely. And this is the term, because in order for you to get onto things like insulin, things like high blood pressure, you have to live a lifestyle that is promoting that. So when you back up, and you want to know what's very interesting, Tonya, is that sometimes when I'm doing sort of these consultations with potential clients, and I ask them, what are your goals? Yes, it's going to be, most people are going to say weight loss because it's something physical. And sometimes I've spoken to people who are sort of so focused on the physical aspect of it that they don't even realize that high blood pressure, insulin resistance is actually a problem. They don't realize it, and it's not anyone's fault. Again, this is what we're told. This is how it's talked about in our conventional medical system. So they don't realize that. And for me, I ask you that question because I want to know what your goals are. And then I run you through a small health history questionnaire, because then I need to see what else is going on. Because once you start to do the small lifestyle changes, weight loss is, that's gonna come. If your body needs to lose weight, it will lose weight while you're making these small lifestyle changes. But what's happening is internally, your body's starting to regulate its blood pressure. Your body's starting to fix its sugar processing systems, what we call it. And those things are way more important, because once those things start to fix, the weight comes with it. So I think today in our society, right, there's all these things going on about weight stigma and things called like diet culture, because everything is based on losing weight. And if that is not and this sometimes makes my job hard, because if that's not the primary, hey, is this going to help me lose 30 pounds? Then a lot of people are turned off. And again, they put their internal health, their real health, on the back burner. So they're not, and unfortunately, sometimes they're not concerned about the
the sort of lifestyle conditions that they've promoted over time. And we don't get told about the side effects that come with the medication that you're taking. It's just all about weight loss. Certain medications don't even allow you to lose weight loss. So they don't even allow you to lose weight. So then I have to sort of, again, it's all about that education. I have to start to educate, my clients and people who I potentially work with on why is it important for your body to regulate its own blood pressure? Right. What are the side effects of the blood pressure medication that you're taking? Because it may be the very thing that you want to see me for. That might be a side effect, weight gain, which it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually it's weight loss, which is going to be people's goals. But I try to ask, I try to go, a few layers deep and ask some more sort of, quote unquote, harder questions to really get you to tell me why you're really here. And then that's where where I usually see the biggest impact, when you get to say, okay, I'm really here. Yeah, I want to lose some weight, but it's really about, like, when I wake up in the morning, I don't have any energy. Okay, so now we're getting a little deeper there. And this is, once we start making these small changes, the weight loss may come in 3 weeks, but you might start noticing an uptick in energy. And like you mentioned, once you see, like, whoa, oh my gosh, whoa. And then that sort of makes you say, all right, I'm going to continue on this path here because I feel great and I can see it as well.
My husband, who's one of the best people in the world, as far as I'm concerned, he would constantly check in with me. How are you doing? While they're eating barbecue chicken and baked macaroni and cheese and peas and rice and, all these wonderful, big, rich meals. And I'm over there with my piece of salmon and my spinach or something. He would continue to check in with me. How are you doing? And, one of the things that was really, really important for me is to have the support from my spouse and even just, the rest of my family, my children, my parents. They were like, wow, you look great. You're doing great. What are you doing? And everyone really kind of supporting me in that way. And talk about why that is important, because, and even for single people, how can they find that support amongst their peers as well?
Yep. So that's another layer that you get when working together. I become that accountability factor. I become your biggest fan. I become your biggest support system. But it's about your environment now, right? So what environment are you in? And you have your son, you have your husband, and they're eating these sort of massive meals. And you know what? Just a little sidestep. Not to say that isn't possible. Everyone's different. You have to figure out what works for you, right? If you have someone who is 6'2", 200 pounds and very lean, then yes, they likely can not get away, but they can integrate some mac and cheese and some, barbecue ribs into their healthy lifestyle. They can integrate that and still be okay. So that's very important. But it's your environment, okay? How do you set your environment up for success, okay? And you having to be in an environment where you have a very, very supportive husband who, again, they're eating what they're eating, but they're not sort of shoving it down your throat saying, forget about that. They also support it. But at the sort of key thing is your environment. So I know that you went on you were going on vacation and you're going to be out of your environment, you're out of your element. But there are small things that you can do to have a little bit more control of that environment, and then this will make sort of the quote unquote staying on track easier for you. Now, a single person, again, I will be that support factor, that accountability factor. I will say that it could potentially be a little easier for someone who's single, who doesn't have any kids to cook for, and things like that, because then it will simply be about changing that environment. But again, you do everything over time. You don't go to your kitchen cabinet, rip everything out today, throw it all away, and then you haven't even gone grocery shopping for, maybe some healthier items. Now you're left out, and then cravings start to kick in, and then you say, you know what the hell with it, I'm going to KFC. But it really comes down to controlling that environment and then making sure that you're set up for success. I don't care if you could be me, right? I'm a clinical nutritionist. You could be me, but if I am in a place where there's absolutely nothing, in the health realm, and it's just all this good smelling and things like that, you only have so much willpower. So the better that you can control your environment, the better it will be for you to sort of, at least while you're going through a lifestyle change program, to stay on track.
I know you're going to have some questions for me too, but one of the biggest questions I have been asked is how hard was it? And I'm not going to give away all your secrets because I do want people to call you. I do want people to get in touch with you. But when you think about what healthy eating and clean eating is, you are going to be shocked at the things that don't really fit into those categories. And so for me, it was educating myself about ingredients, about what are in certain food groups and things, so that I can maintain this kind of clean living. And to me, that was kind of one of the bigger obstacles, because I think 99% of us, we just go around, we don't think about what we're putting in our body. We don't think about what's in that steak and cheese. We don't think about what's in that beef patty, or, you know, whatever it is. So, you know, talk a little bit about just how you approach the idea of really kind of looking at food in a very healthy, clean way.
So first and foremost, I would say that for most of us, you know, you could do wonders to your health if you focused on eating one ingredient foods. Okay, what are one ingredient foods now? Right. So without, you know, putting anyone in a specific bucket of, you know, quote unquote diet bucket, you go one ingredient foods, things like avocado, one ingredient. Okay, whatever, any vegetable, it's a one ingredient. Chicken, one ingredient. Beef, one ingredient. Whatever it is, one ingredient, you do your health wonders. Now, it goes back to environment, right? Controlling your environment and understanding, you know, what you're consuming. So that environment now is when you go to a grocery store and you grab something and you're not looking at labels, you're not doing any of that stuff. You're just throwing stuff in your cart and then you're going home and you're consuming. That is your environment controlling you. You have no idea what's in your food. You have no idea what you're putting into your system. And then that then translates into our conventional medical system, right? You go there and they give you this pill. You have no idea what it is or where it is. This wizard, you know, the doctor just said, hey, take this and it's going to lower your blood pressure. You have no idea what's in it. You have no idea what the side effects come with it. So we allow our environment to control us. But the more control, right? You had mentioned this earlier on in the show. The more control you have over your food choices, your body, the more your eyes sort of would open to say, wow, okay. It then becomes even more simpler to you when you're in more control. So as far as, and obviously, you know, within this process and the program working together, I have a section in there where I help you understand what to look for on a food label, how to read a label, what are some of the do's or don'ts when it comes to grabbing, you know, something off of the shelf, or where should you navigate to inside of a grocery store so that you're making the best decisions, because everything, no matter where you go, everything's about marketing. Everything around you is going to be marketing. You go in the grocery store, it is set up in a way to get you to consume things that may not be the best, that may be a little more cheap than, you know, let's say the broccoli in the aisle, but it's designed for you to sort of, you know, keep coming back for more, and not really designed with your health in mind. So it comes down to control. It comes down to making sure that you understand what you're looking for, and then simple things, right? You want to go. The closer you are to single ingredient foods, the better off you'd be. And then the closer you are to sort of, you know, preparing. And this is why, Tony, this is why I don't, I come out and say, this is why I don't give you a meal plan. I don't believe in meal plans. The meal plan is, what do you like to eat? Here's a list of all the wonderful things that are going to nourish your body, but you pick from it. Whatever you like is what we're going to go with, because in a year from now, you know how to eat the things that you enjoy that promote health for you. I know that's sort of a long-winded answer, but
no, it's so true. It's so true. You know, one of the things that I learned is that when I go food shopping for myself, I stay on the perimeter of the supermarket. That's where all your one ingredient meals are. You know, your proteins, your vegetables, your fruits. And everything in those little aisles, just stay away from them.
You get more and more to what we call, you know, they either frink foods or they're fake foods. You get the closer you get in the middle of the aisle, it's going to be, and you know, here's a funny thing that I usually, you know, I challenge people. And sometimes I'm like the party pooper when I come to a party, right? I'll grab a bag of chips, then I'll grab the Little Debbie donuts, and then I'll grab, some crackers or something. Turn the box over, and it's the same. There's no difference in ingredients outside of coloring. One may have a different, caking agent, but they're all the same thing. And I'm like, just look at this here. These foods are the same thing, but they all look different. But they're not different foods, and these are likely the things that at least consuming all the time or most of the time are what actually contributes to breaking down of your body.
So I know you have a couple questions for me, so I'm going to turn the show over to you.
There you go. Right, the ONeil podcast. So one question that I want you to answer, and I think this would be good for your audience to hear, is from a sort of from a psychological standpoint, right? When you sat with me and I said, okay, what are your goals? And you said, okay, here are my goals here, and I'm on these medications here. And when I said to you, okay, so we're going to work to see if we can get you off some of these medications. What was your initial sort of what did you think about that? Did you think it was possible? What was your thought process there?
Absolutely not. Because I never quite understand, and this is the education that you talk about so clearly in working with you, is I never thought that my body could live without these medications because I had been on them for so long. That's number one. Number two, I didn't realize that my body was staying healthy based on these drugs, not on anything I was doing. And when I started to kind of shift my mindset to say, okay, I'm going to work out, now I'm up to 5 days a week. I'm going to work out. And I'm not like Incredible Hulk doing things. I do cardio for 30 minutes. I do a little bit of weightlifting, and that's it. Yep. And so in November, when I first saw those numbers after my 3 months, I could not believe that these very important changes I was making to my life would have such a significant impact. My doctor, who is she's like, I don't know what you're doing, but don't ever stop. Because she just couldn't believe how wonderfully I was responding to these very simple changes. I take no drugs for the health plan that I'm on, for the healthy lifestyle I'm on. You didn't give me any drugs to say, okay, you take this, it's going to suppress your appetite. You're not going to. No. This is all 100% Tonya. And so no, I never thought I would be off of any of these. I can't believe that I don't have to put needles in my arm every single day.
Yeah. What was the hardest? What would you say, right? And this doesn't, and nothing could be hard, right? Because what I want sort of you to communicate is, what was the biggest change that you had to make in your lifestyle throughout this process?
Food. Just simply looking at food differently. And when you started to work with me and had me think about what these foods were doing to my body, things like inflammation, feeling tired, headaches, being lethargic, sweating after you eat, these kind of physical reactions I was having to the kind of food I was eating, and then looking at what those ingredients were, that was my biggest challenge, is learning how to look at food differently. It's almost like I've learned a new language when it comes to food. And all these things, I would say 90% of my diet was processed. I cook every day, but tons of salt, a lot of sugar, a lot of gluten, a lot of starches, things like ketchup and barbecue sauce. So all these types of things that I started looking at differently, I said, okay, well, I can still really enjoy the food I'm eating and know that all those chemicals and additives and sugars and sodium and all these things, I don't have to put in my body. Now, I'll have a piece of fish, and yes, I'll put a little Himalayan salt on it, absolutely. Yep. but
Yeah.
it's not the kind of processed sodium that's in all of these. If you look in my cabinet and you see the sauces in my, there's not one thing in that cabinet I can have. I got to cook it for my boys, but there's not one thing in there I can have because sodiums are like 500s, 600s, 300s. It was really just kind of learning what food is, what good food, what healthy eating, what clean eating really was. That was my biggest hurdle.
So you mentioned earlier that we were upwards of 20 something pounds down.
26.
26 pounds down. So what, as far as the weight loss now, do you feel, and again, these are sort of certain questions that I get from, some of my, people who I do consults with. The weight loss now, do you feel that this was a strenuous process for you to lose weight? And as far as consumption, right? So yeah, we have to change certain consumption patterns. But typically, right, people come to me, okay, well, I should be eating like 700 calories a day, right? And that's not the case. So from a weight loss standpoint, how did you feel, throughout the process when, as of today, we're down 26 pounds? How was that weight loss process for you?
In our first interview that we did back in September, one of the things we talked about was caloric intake versus physical activity, right? And one of the things that you said, and I didn't know this, maybe other people know this, but breathing, you're burning calories. Raising my hand up, I'm burning calories. Moving from one room to the other, I'm burning calories. And so for me, I have never ever looked at calories per se. What I do know and understand about my body is that with the clean food I'm putting in it and just the movement I can do, I'm 53 years old. I'm not going to run any more marathons. I'm not going to be. Not
yet, at least.
Okay. We'll talk about that on another show.
Yeah.
I'm not pumping like 100 pounds of weights or whatever. I'm doing what my body allows me to do, but I'm doing it. I'm making a conscious decision to do it every day. And for me, that was the gravy to all of this, because as I said, once I saw those numbers from my blood work, once I saw these changes that my doctor was like, okay, stop taking this. Let's see what happens. Stop taking this medication. Let's see what happens. To me, that was like, okay, full steam ahead. Yeah. I take very good care of what I'm putting in my body. And so if my fish is a little bit bigger at dinner, I don't care about that, because I know the next day I'm going to get up, I'm going to move. I'm going to take some of it off. I'm drinking my water all day long. I'm having my fruit smoothies for breakfast, which is kale, banana, and strawberry, my favorite mix. And just making these healthy choices for me. And some people may have to count calories and do that. But for me, I just really felt like I knew that the moving and the clean eating was contributing to the weight loss. And, I think I may have told you a goal when we first started. I may have said like, oh, it would be great to be like 150, 160.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 12 pounds away from 160 in 3 months. And it's all just been focusing on my mind first and my body second. My mind in terms of making the right decisions for me, in terms of what I eat, when I move, how I move, and everything else is just falling into place.
So I have one more question for you.
Yes.
If you had to sort of tell someone the biggest takeaway or reason on why they should, sort of embark on the same journey that you did, what would that be? I know that's sort of a, you can go anywhere with that, but what's sort of that biggest takeaway, that you got from my program, and then would you communicate to someone else as far as them taking this journey on?
ONeil, I know that there are people out there who are going to be very comfortable with just being who they are. I was never that person, but I didn't know how to start. I didn't know what it would take to get to where I am right now. I didn't think it was possible to get off these lifestyle medications. I didn't think it was possible for me to not be able to fit 90% of my wardrobe right now because everything is too big. I didn't think these things were possible. What you were able to do were to give me the tools to say, if you make these decisions, if you take control over this part of your life, if you think about things like food differently, if you think about what you're putting into your body, if you think about just doing a little bit of movement each day, and let me just say, you've never told me to exercise. That's the number one thing. You never told me to do that. So but it was instinctive that I realized that with the mind changes, I had to physically change as well. And if you're out there, and regardless of how old you are, you can always start making these very, very, very simple. And yes, it's the beginning is a little tough.
Yeah.
But once your mind shifts, they say it takes 21 days to kick a habit or make a habit. Yeah. And this is going to be me for the rest of my life. I know that. And for that reason alone, you need to get with my boy, ONeil. You need to get on this train because it's a great train to be on.
Yes, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And, sort of just to add, I really want to be able to really show people that you can take control of your life. And from a health standpoint, you can start making decisions that will drastically improve your health. And putting power, empowering you to say, exactly what to do to help yourself is sort of one of my key goals. And again, you know this. I don't give meal plans. I don't tell you to go to the gym three times a week and do this. Everyone's lifestyle is different. Everyone has everyone's background is different from a cultural standpoint, and it's all about empowering you to make decisions. Because again, once you get to that driver's seat and you start driving and you start seeing these changes and these improvements because of what you're doing, with some support from me, obviously, but what you're doing, that right there allows you to build that momentum and to really take control of your life, right? You have a conversation with your primary care doctor that they probably never thought you'd ever come in there and have a conversation with them about.
Right.
Being actually interested in your health. And that is what, that's just something I really want to give people. I want to empower people so that whenever you're sitting in the room with anyone, when they're talking about you and your body and what's going to happen to you, you actually know how to have a conversation and you actually have say in what you're going to do to help yourself.
This time of year, we are being inundated with the New Year's resolutions, weight loss gimmicks. You can't go on social media without seeing one. One of the most horrible ones, and we talked about this when you were first on the show in September, one of the most horrible ones I saw was lose 70 pounds in 7 days, something like that. And it was this magic pill or whatever. I want you to just talk about it. I'm not going to name the company or anything because I'm not trying to get sued, but I just want you to, as people are thinking here in January about what they're going to do differently in their life for this year, why those types of, and we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the show, these get rich quick, these, instant gratification things, and why it's more important to learn how to be healthy from the inside out.
Yeah. So you said it. It's that instant gratification. That's the way our brains have become wired to expect everything now. And again, you think about, and I try to use the examples of, sort of lifestyle things. You think about, what does it take to grow fruits and vegetables? Like, what does it take? Nothing grows overnight. What does it take to, invest in your retirement account? Like, you don't invest today and then tomorrow, you're a millionaire. It's over time, right? You're compounding. And the same applies to your health. So you're gonna see, right, especially around this time, you're gonna see all these different companies selling these products that say you can lose 70 pounds in 7 days by swallowing a pill. I'm sure that is completely false. I'm sure that you probably will lose a good amount, but I'm also sure that that likely comes with some detrimental effects to your health. So it's about the instant gratification, and I think that the more that we become aware that anything good takes time, right? You know, I sometimes I sit in the rooms with people and they're like, yeah, you know, they say all these sort of jazzy, cliche terms, but then when it comes to your health, it's all about, no, it needs to happen today, right? You go to the gym and you did 5 push-ups or you did a workout in a day. You wake up tomorrow, you're not gonna like have all these abs and be crazy. No, it's over time, right? You have to compound, you have to keep going, you have to sort of build up this habit over time where we start to see those changes. And I think that you know, what companies are going to do, it's unfortunate, is they're going to capitalize on our sort of instant gratification society, and there are going to be a lot of people, trust me, there are going to be a lot of people who buy the pill and realize that it didn't work. And then what happens is that then starts to make us believe that it's not possible.
Right.
And that's what happens. And then when they say, okay, well, no, I actually took this pill that said I was supposed to lose you know, weight in 7 days, and they know that when they take an ibuprofen, their headache goes away in 15 minutes. So if this pill didn't work in 7 days, then there's no way, you know, me making these small lifestyle changes is going to work. And I don't want to wait, you know, 60 days for that, 90 days for that. So that's a battle that I'm always fighting to just to really, you know, again, try to make references, right? You have to be able to, and that's why I always use that reference as far as planting, you know, some fruits or veggies, or even a flower. If you've ever done any gardening, right? You plant your seeds. You gotta water it today. You gotta water it tomorrow. If it's summertime when you did it, you gotta water it twice a day. And then, you know, over the course of maybe you even miss, right? Actually, I just did this. Maybe you even miss a whole, you know, spring and winter, summer without you seeing these blossoms. But over the winter time, and then, you know, you've done the work, you see that next spring, wow, boom, you have your beautiful, you know, garden blooming. It's the same way that the body works. Every day that you wake up is an opportunity actually to start to improve your health. Literally every day. This is one little nerdy fact here, but every 5 days, cells in your digestive tract turn over. You get new cells every 5 days. Every 5 days. So you know, in that sort of instant gratification mindset, hey, let's take the next 7 days to say, you know what, I'm gonna start to clean up what I'm consuming, so that when these new cells grow, right, they're growing based on the energy or the food that you consume. When these new cells grow, at least for the next 5 days, I want to have some new healthy cells. So that you know, that's something, again, it's a battle that I battle with daily with my clients and with people who I do consults with. But you are proof that, you know, if you put the work in, if you put the work into yourself, right, this is for you. You put the work in, this is where you can, these are the improvements that you can see. You take control of your health.
ONeil Anderson, I thank you not for just being a guest on the show. I thank you for working with me, for what you have helped me learn about me, the strength that I have, the things that are possible in me. I thank you for helping coach me and be there for me. And I pray that if you're out there and are inspired by this conversation, that you will pick up the phone or email and call ONeil to begin your journey to a healthier, better you. ONeil, tell folks how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So if you're on Facebook, it's ONeil Anderson. If you're on Instagram, it's ONeil Anderson _. And then if you just want to go to my website, which is going to be ONeilAnderson.com, you can schedule a consultation right there from the website. There's a lot more information on my website as well. But those are 3 of the primary ways where you can get in contact with me, and we can, you know, we can have a discussion about where you want to go, about where you are, and how I can help you.
And I'm going to put my before and after pictures on the website at thepowerplayshow.com, so you can actually see what is happening. ONeil, thank you so much. You know, I wish you and your family just a wonderful, prosperous new year. I know that you and I will continue to be in touch with each other, but, you know, from the bottom of my heart, I just have the biggest thank you.
You are very, very, very welcome. And I thank you for trusting me, trusting yourself, and believing.
What a great conversation. I really hope that this helped some of you out there and that you'll pick up that phone and make a change in your life today. Remember, you can listen to the PowerPLAY Show wherever you subscribe to podcasts, including iTunes, iHeartRadio, and now Pandora Podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. Simply search the Hull Bay Productions Media channel and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we air each Saturday at 5 p.m. on BroncoiRadio.com. So join us each Thursday for a new episode of the PowerPLAY Show wherever you subscribe to podcasts, or by checking us out on our YouTube channel at Hull Bay Productions Media channel, or simply visit thepowerplayshow.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Tonya McGrath, and I wish you health and healing light.